Today I want to talk about what our world will be like in the future. And here, I mean, not 10, not 20, not 100 years, but 1,000, 2, maybe even 3,000 years ahead. The thing is, I will base my vision, my reasoning on the movement of the equinox axis relative to the constellations. In astrology and now even in everyday life, we often hear about the so-called Age of Aquarius. The Age of Aquarius, this term, it emerged in the early 20th century and was linked to the movement of the vernal equinox point relative to the constellations, and it was said that this point would soon enter the constellation of Aquarius, that the Age of Aquarius would begin, and so on. As I showed in the article about the movement of the equinox axis, if we talk about the age of Aquarius and the vernal equinox point, we cannot ignore the opposite point of this axis, the autumnal equinox point, which enters the constellation of Leo. I will now display the diagram on the screen. As you can see, the exact entry of this point into the constellation of Aquarius and the constellation of Leo will occur in 400 to 500 years from now. But this does not prevent many astrologers from believing that some harbingers, the first signs of the approaching age of Aquarius, are already present. That is why we can already draw some interesting conclusions. Now I will display on the screen a diagram of this balanced, peaceful world order, which may form in the next couple of thousand years and which I believe can keep the world in stable equilibrium. In general, the equinox axis and its movements relative to the constellations show the external form of how the world of the future will look. Yes, we can say that a more or less stable world has a bipolar characteristic. One pole will be associated with the sign or constellation of Aquarius and represents such a network structure of balanced equal partners who will be united by common ideas and common principles. They will be opposed by the Leo structure, where we see one obvious leader and groups of satellites, vassals connected to him, who will completely obey and hierarchically enter the power system of the main master. One might say the lion, this pride. This system is likely to be formed in about 500, 1000, 2000 years it will be in use. But even now I believe some signs of this scheme are emerging. I mean the creation in January 2026 of the so-called Council of Peace. Here is its horoscope. Well, analyzing this horoscope is not my interest right now, but the very fact of creating such a structure, it seems to me, is a step towards creating the Leo pole of future power. Here we clearly see one main leader, the United States of America, and other countries bound to them by treaties. Such world governance is another way to translate Board of Peace. It is not only a Council of Peace, but also governance of the world. And the form of such world governance, its charter at the moment, fully corresponds to this lion-like form of world management. The other half of this pole, Aquarius, is, I believe, under construction today. Perhaps an organization like BRICS is a prototype of this Aquarian network conglomerate. I often hear about what the world of the near future will be like, multipolar or bipolar. And my viewpoint is conciliatory. I believe that at the moment it is more realistic to consider that we are moving towards a multipolar world. But this is not our goal. It is an intermediate stage towards creating a bipolar Aquarian Leo world, the scheme of which I showed you. As we can see, the Aquarian and Leo parts of this structure are connected by a line that has a neutral status. perhaps this scheme may have an addition where this line will have more significance. Perhaps the neutral part in this structure will have more significance and thus stabilize and give stability to the entire structure of the New World Order. That's all from me for now. Write down your thoughts. Goodbye.